The 2025 NBA draft didn't just shift the league, it revealed who's playing chess and who's fumbling with the pieces. From masterful trades to flat-out head-scratchers, this year's draft wasn't just about talent, it was about vision. And tonight, we're breaking down the 3 biggest winners and 3 teams that walked out looking completely lost. You might think you know who they are, but trust me, it's not that simple. Let's start with a team that pulled off what might be the most quietly brilliant draft strategy of the night, the Atlanta Hawks. At first glance, you might have thought the Hawks were playing it safe, but what they did was pure front office sorcery. First, they moved the 22nd pick to land Kristaps Porzingis, a swing that comes with risk, sure, but also serious upside. When healthy, Porzingis is a borderline all-star, and putting him next to Trae Young, that's a pick-and-pop nightmare for defenses. But that wasn't the only move. They traded the 13th pick to the Pelicans, dropped down to 23, and somehow walked away with an unprotected 2026 first-round pick. And here's the kicker, it'll be the better of the Pelicans or Bucks pick. Given how shaky both teams look heading in the next season, there's a real chance that pick lands in the top 5. And what did Atlanta do with the 23rd pick? They drafted Asa Newell, a player many scouts have projected as a fringe lottery talent. Long, athletic, and disruptive on defense, Newell fits perfectly into their rotation and adds more juice to their front court. They got a star caliber big man, a high upside prospect, and a lottery ticket for next year, all in one draft night. That's how you win the long game and the short game. But for every winner, there's someone who got played. And in this case, that someone is the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans went into the night with 2 solid picks, 7 and 23. Things started off okay with Jeremiah Fears, a flashy, creative guard with undeniable talent. But even that pick comes with warning signs. Fears is undersized, wildly inefficient, and still learning how to play under control. Not exactly a sure thing. But the real disaster came when they traded up from 23 to 13, giving away that unprotected 2026 first rounder to Atlanta, all to draft big man Derek Queen. Queen has offensive skill, no doubt, but he's also one of the least athletic players ever measured at the draft combine. He's a defensive liability in an era where big men need to cover ground and switch onto guards. That's the guy you mortgage the future for? The Pelicans didn't just overpay. They made a desperation move for a limited player and sacrificed a potentially franchise-changing pick to do it. That's not aggressive, that's reckless. While some teams gambled and lost, the San Antonio Spurs walked into the draft with a plan and executed it to perfection. With the number 2 and number 14 picks, San Antonio had a golden opportunity to shape the future around Victor Wembanyama, and they nailed it. At number 2, they took Dylan Harper, the second best player in the class by almost every metric. Could they have drafted for positional fit instead? Sure, but passing on elite talent is how you stay mediocre. Harper gives them a tough, high IQ backcourt presence who can handle, score, and defend. Now they've got Harper, Fox, and Castle in the backcourt. Too many quality guards? That's a good problem to have. Then, with pick 14, they went with Carter Bryant. Not flashy, but gritty. He defends multiple positions, hits open shots, and doesn't need the ball to make an impact. Basically, the perfect glue guy to complement Wemby and the rest of the core. The Spurs came in with lottery picks, they left with rotation-ready talent, a deeper identity, and a much stronger foundation. Now, it's time to talk about one of the most baffling draft nights in recent memory. The Brooklyn Nets entered the 2025 draft with 5 first-round picks. That's the kind of opportunity that should set your franchise up for years. But what they did with those picks might go down as one of the most puzzling collapses of the draft era. Here's the issue. Not a single one of their picks can shoot. J.R. Demon, 27% from 3. Nolan Trior, 29%. Ben Saroff, 26%. Danny Wolf is a center who shot 33% on low volume. Drake Powell shot 37%, but only attempted 2 threes a game and never had a reputation as a shooter. The league runs on spacing, and somehow the Nets went 0 for 5 on players who can space the floor. They drafted 3 point guards, none with real separation skills, and ended up with a cluttered, awkward mess of ball handlers who don't fit together or anywhere else. With all that draft capital, they had the power to swing big. Instead, they got role players with no shooting, no star upside, and no real plan. It's not just a bad draft, it's a wasted opportunity. And now we shift to one of the most quietly brilliant drafts, the Charlotte Hornets. After a year where their offense cratered, largely due to poor shooting and endless injuries, the Hornets had one clear goal: Find guys who can knock down shots and take pressure off LaMelo Ball. Mission accomplished. With the number 4 pick, they selected Con Knipple, arguably the most polished offensive player in the class. He's composed, reads the floor like a vet, and absolutely buries catch and shoot threes. This dude hit 48% of his spot-up triples this season, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. That's a dream fit next to LaMelo. Then at 29, they stole Liam McNeely, a former top 15 prospect who slid after a cold stretch at UConn. But here's the thing, McNeely's shooting stroke is real, and in a lower usage spot-up role, he's poised to bounce back hard. The Hornets didn't overthink it. They found their gaps and filled them with high IQ shooters who fit the system. That's how you build smart. Our final loser of the night, it's a team that might have made the right pick, but created all the wrong energy. The Utah Jazz took Ace Bailey at number 5. On paper, it's solid value. Bailey's a high-scoring wing with length and talent. But here's the issue. Bailey didn't want to play for Utah. According to reports, he and his camp refused to meet with certain teams before the draft. And the Jazz were on that list. They drafted him anyway. And now they've got a disgruntled rookie before he's even played a game. On the court, there are questions too. Bailey rarely passed in college, struggles to create separation, and overlaps positionally with Lauri Markkanen. If he doesn't buy into a more off-ball role and fast, things could get messy. It's a case of talent over chemistry, and while that might work out, it just as easily might not. So there you have it. Trades, steals, and a few complete implosions. The 2025 NBA draft didn't just reveal the next generation of players, it exposed the decision makers behind them. Who do you think had the best night? Who completely fumbled the bag? Drop your picks in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe, because the next chapter of this NBA drama is just getting started.